Dave, and I can spot you up to $500 of your future money instantly.
Up to $500 instantly? What else is in my future?
A new couch. Only!
Get up to $500 instantly with Dave.
New details as New York Congressman George Santos is facing federal charges. What we've now learned about that case. Plus,
unlike the White House, the Speaker has been handling the debt limit in a responsible fashion.
top congressional leaders set to meet with President Biden once again to talk about the nation's debt limit. The next steps so the United States avoids default.
We are clear-eyed about the challenges we are likely to face in the days and weeks ahead.
Thousands of migrants heading to the southern border as Title 42 is set to end tomorrow at midnight. The Biden administration's latest plan to help asylum seekers. Hey there, good afternoon to you. Welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you today. I'm Veronica Cruz here in Atlanta. It is now 3 p.m. in the east and 12 p.m. out west. We begin this hour with a New York congressman who's been in the spotlight for admitting to a string of lies during his campaign, who could be facing time now behind bars. Republican Representative George Santos pleading not guilty in his first court appearance today. The embattled congressman is facing 13 charges accusing him of money laundering, fraud, and embezzlement. Santos was released on a $500,000 bond following the arraignment. Let's get you right out to congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed, who joins us now live from Washington. All right, Nate, take us through what has happened here, beginning with this 19-page indictment. We understand, obviously, there are 13 different charges. Give us details about these charges and also what happened at his arraignment.
Well, Veronica, the feds are alleging a lot of wrongdoing on the part of Representative George Santos, who is remaining in Congress while he fights these charges. Remember, he just entered that not guilty plea on this 13-count indictment. Let's go over what those counts include. Counts 1 through 5 are wire fraud, including fraudulent political contribution, solicitation. Counts 6 through 8, unlawful monetary transactions over $10,000. Count number 9, theft of public money, also counts on wire fraud for application and receipt of unemployment benefits. He attested week after week for a long period of time that he was unemployed when he was not. Additionally, also false statements made to the House of Representatives regarding his disclosure reports for both 2020 and 2022. Now, according to this indictment, Santos, quote, spent thousands of dollars of the solicited funds on personal expenses, including luxury designer clothing and credit card payments. Additionally, Santos falsely claimed to have been unemployed since the week of March 22nd, 2020. He collected nearly $25,000 in unemployment benefits, but he was employed at the time at a financial services firm as a regional director. He lied about that in order to get that money week after week. It's worth noting, and you cannot make this up, Veronica, George Santos it was the co-sponsor, one of 35 co-sponsors of a bill that the House is expected to vote on this week, which would empower states to go after people like himself, people who commit fraud and received unemployment benefits or other funds from the CARES Act improperly.
Yeah, definitely eyebrow raising, to say the least there, Nate. I want to talk about the reaction to all of this because, as you and I both know, a number of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have been calling on Santos to resign months ago. But what about GOP leadership right now? What is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying about all of this?
House Republican leadership is in fairly lockstep on this. Speaker Kevin McCarthy has made clear he has not yet called on Representative Santos to resign. At the same time, he said he wants to watch this play out in court first. Take a listen.
You walk through like every American. You have your day in court and go through it, just like when another member inside the House. Santos we never put on committee, so he won't serve on committee. He'll go through his time of trial. We'll find out how the outcome is.
And we also spoke earlier today with the chairman of the Queens County Republican Club. They told me that despite the fact that they've stood by Santos up to now, the chairman of that committee saying that he no longer believes that Santos should serve in office and that these latest charges serve as a distraction, that the embattled congressman should ultimately resign. He is due back in court, Veronica, on June 30th.
All right, Nathaniel Reed reporting live from Washington on this. Nate, thank you so much. I want to turn you now to the standoff over the debt limit. President Biden today blaming Republicans for the impending crisis at a stop in New York. A meeting between the president and top Republicans yesterday ended without a deal. The U.S. government could run out of cash to pay its bills as soon as June 1st unless Congress raises the debt ceiling. Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull is live for us right now from Washington. All right, Haley, let's talk about what the president is saying. What is his message as the default deadline grows even closer?
Oh, Veronica, the president is laying out the stakes of default directly to people in a swing area of New York ahead of campaign events later this evening. And his remarks today largely echo what we have heard from him to date, but come with no concrete movement towards any agreement on reaching an agreement to raise the debt limit, despite that key Oval Office meeting between the president and congressional leaders. In his remarks today, he doubled down on criticisms of House Republicans over his view that they are threatening default unless they get proposed spending cuts. Cuts, he say, threaten popular programs, and that would really jeopardize the administration's priorities with things like the Inflation Reduction Act and student debt. The president contrasted it with progress under his administration, touting things like unemployment, job growth, and manufacturing, things we have heard repeatedly from the White House, framing those as at risk from Republicans. He also spelled out the impact of any potential default, including on interest rates, recession, job losses, and a damaged international reputation. Listen.
They're literally, not figuratively, holding the economy hostage by threatening to default on our nation's debt that we've already incurred over the last couple hundred years, unless we give in to their threats and demands as to what they think we should be doing with regard to the budget. This would be incredibly damaging. Here's what the Speaker has put forward for the Republican proposal. He says he's going to take the funding, how we fund government, back to what the levels were in 2022, before the omnibus bill. And they exclude any cuts in defense.
Now, despite what's at risk here, Biden repeated a sense of optimism in the most extensive remarks we've heard from the president on the debt limit to date last night. He appeared to try to show confidence that the country would not reach a default. His remarks today come the same day as a new CPI report that shows signs inflation remains high, but a smaller year-over-year increase. Now, Republicans look at this criticizing what they see as high prices and what they view as reckless spending from the president, while the White House looks at this touting that inflation is coming down, but tying it to what's at risk if a default were to occur, Veronica.
Haley, what do we know right now about how far apart the two sides remain? I know that President Biden has been on the road today, but are you hearing anything else in terms of any progress?
Well, what we're seeing today is each side really digging in on their positions. Their view really hasn't changed, with the parties really pointing the finger at each other still today. They really seem to be doubling down on those views. The president has been clear and consistent and remains so that he wants default off the table. He wants that debt limit raised without any conditions. He and the Democrats in line with him continue their argument today that Republicans are threatening default. Meanwhile, Republicans are criticizing Biden over spending and the negotiation process. Listen.
America has never defaulted on our obligations. We cannot do that. And I think it's accurate that three legislative leaders have said that we cannot get there. Unfortunately, there's one that has not said that, and that's the troubling part of where we are in our today.
One of the things that we included was reestablishing what the amount of spending should be in Washington. We bring it back to what it was pre-pandemic. We, again, have laid out what that should be, but as we're in these final talks, I mean, there might only be 2 weeks left before we actually hit the date. So I'm hopeful that as the Speaker meets with the President and the other congressional leaders on Friday, that they can get some real specifics that get us closer to an agreement.
And Veronica, despite the dug-in positions here, where there is progress is that these leaders and the president have agreed to meet again on Friday with the expectation that staff are communicating over the budget before that meeting takes place in just a couple days. Veronica?
All right, Haley Blue reporting live for us from Washington. Haley, thank you so much. In the meantime, like Haley was just saying, those 10 consecutive interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve are now having their intended effect. Today's Consumer Price Index report shows that inflation has been cooling. It has cooled for the 10th straight month in a row. Now, according to the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI rose 4.9% from year to year in April, but it was less than the 5% that economists were predicting. And it is well below the 9% that we saw at inflation's peak about a year ago last summer. So what does it all mean for your wallet? Well, we're going to explain the latest numbers and good news if you are heading to the grocery store soon. It's all straight ahead in our next hour of Scripps News Live right here at 4 p.m. Eastern. So former President Donald Trump is saying that he's going to appeal a federal jury's verdict in his civil rape trial. A jury in New York finding the former president sexually abused and defamed columnist E. Jean Carroll, ordering him to pay her $5 million. In a video posted to his Truth Social website, Trump attacked the verdict as a, quote, disgrace, suggesting it was a predictable outcome to a political hit.
What else can you expect from a Trump-hating, Clinton-appointed judge who went out of his way to make sure that the result of this trial was as negative as it could possibly be, speaking to and in control of a jury from an anti-Trump area, which is probably the worst place in the United States for me to get a fair trial? We'll be appealing this decision. It's a disgrace.
Let's go ahead and take a deeper dive right here into what yesterday's verdict really means, what it all means for former President Trump. Tamara Holder is a civil rights attorney. She joins us now live. Tamara, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Tamara, I want to go ahead and start right here with just the semantics in this verdict. I've had a lot of viewers write into me and ask these questions. So I wanted to go ahead and have it explained in plain English because Trump was found liable of sexual assault and defamation. So why was he found liable versus being found guilty of sexual assault and defamation?
Sure. There are basically, I mean, there are multiple different types of courts. We have bankruptcy court and whatnot, divorce court. But when you're looking for a form of justice, there's the criminal courts, which are where you have a prosecutor and you are charged with a crime where you face prison or jail if you're charged with a misdemeanor. And then the civil place is where you go, where you seek a remedy, and each person has their position of the case. There is no jail time here. There is no crime here. A person is essentially seeking monetary relief or a monetary remedy, which is separate and apart from the criminal justice system.
All right, so he won't be going to jail here, but he is being asked to pay this $5 million that the jury has come up with. Why weren't criminal charges filed in this case then?
Well, she didn't report it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that there's a statute of limitations. So the statute of limitations with regard to the criminal investigation has come and gone. She was an adult at the time, but the reason why she was able to sue and not seek a criminal indictment is because the law opened up for victims of sexual abuse in New York, where you had a 1-year window to sue your abuser. And so that's where she took advantage of the opportunity.
We know that more than a dozen women have accused the former president of sexual misconduct over the years. This is really the only time that we've seen a jury weigh in. What do you think was different about this case? Why do you think E. Jean Carroll was successful? And do you think we're going to see more women come forward now?
Well, that's a lot of questions. I think she was successful because she was believable on the stand, that regardless of what Donald Trump says, regardless of what your viewers believe about Donald Trump, that there is still this integrity left in the four corners of the courtroom, that prominent businessmen, that the Harvey Weinsteins of the world and the Donald Trumps of the world, and really anyone who, Elizabeth Holmes is another example, right? Like, there are people who are still being held to the highest standard of the law. And if you break the law, you are entitled to a jury trial, and the jury is going to look at the evidence and determine whether or not they think that you're either guilty in a criminal case or if you're liable for money damages in a civil case.
And I know that she has now said that this is a victory for any woman who is a victim of sexual assault. Do you think that we see other accusers of the former presidents now come forward?
I don't know about other women coming forward because, again, she took advantage of a law in New York where the window, I think, has already closed. It was 1 year. So if we're not seeing the women that took advantage of it during that 1 year period, maybe women in other states, I don't really see it towards Donald Trump, unless there's, of course, some surprise out there. But I do think that this is a message to other women across the country that if you are sexually assaulted, you should report it immediately, and you should seek monetary damages or monetary relief immediately so that you're not faced with this kind of issue 30 years down the road.
How do you think this verdict is going to impact not just another Trump presidential run, but maybe other legal entanglements that Trump is involved in right now?
Well, I'm looking at Donald Trump here and I'm saying to myself, you can run and you can hide and you can give your little press conference on your Truth and Social platform that you have and tell people that it's wrong, that the outcome is wrong. But the case is still going to go forward. And so I think that this shows his lawyer, Joe Tacopina, that you're still going to be found liable, or you have a high risk of being found liable if you don't show up. If you really believe that you are some victim here, or some Hillary Clinton witch hunt, or whatever he wants to say, those are the things that aren't going on inside of a courtroom. And so I think that he's going to really have to sit down with his lawyers and make a decision on what his strategy is going to be moving forward, because staying away from the courtroom is not helping him.
Yeah, and he is saying that he's going to appeal this verdict, so we're going to have to see what that looks like. In the meantime, Tamara Holder, civil rights and women's rights attorney. Tamara, thank you so much for stopping by. This just in, federal health advisors recommending a decades-old birth control pill can be sold without a prescription. The FDA panel vote paves the way for what could be the first birth control pill available over the counter. The once-a-day pill is made by Parigio, and right now all contraceptive pills in the United States require a prescription, but the O-pill could be moved onto store shelves. The FDA will be making a final decision later on this summer. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, preparing for the end of Title 42. The cities outside of the southern border also expecting an influx of migrants. But first, sexual abuse survivors in Baltimore now getting more time to file a lawsuit against the Catholic Church. We're going to have an update for you from Maryland straight ahead.
From the front lines to the skies, Jason Bellini takes you to meet the men and women defending their home. No Surrender, the fight for Ukraine. Thursday night at 8:30.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
If you're living with diabetes, this sound may save your life. A continuous glucose monitor provides glucose readings and alerts you in real time to potential lows and harmful spikes without painful finger sticks. It's easy, convenient, and proven to lower your A1C. If you administer insulin, you may qualify for a continuous glucose monitor at no cost to you. Call now. It could save your life. Just call 800-233-6176. This new GCM technology immediately eliminates your pain and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. That means no more guessing. It's easy to see your glucose number any time of the day. Call now and get free shipping. Plus, we'll bill your insurance company for you. Satisfaction guaranteed. Don't wait until it's too late. Take control of your diabetes now. Just call 800-233-6176. That's 800-233-6176.
There's a lot to watch on TV these days. Problem is, most streaming options are incredibly pricey, and you'll end up paying for the local channels you can get for free. Luckily, there's a solution. Sling is only $40 a month, and you get awesome stuff like sports, news, and today's hottest TV for half of what the other guys cost. If you already get free locals with an antenna, now you can easily add the channels you're missing with Sling. It's the TV you love for a price you'll love. Visit sling.com/antenna to learn more.
Local, national, and worldwide headlines. Breaking down the day's biggest stories with live reporting from around the globe.
I'm Del Walters, and this is your Evening Debrief.
Live tonight, starting at 6/5 Central, only on Scripps News. The why is where curiosity is intentional. Because when you ask the why behind the news, the world opens up before your eyes. The Why, Saturday nights at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News.
Survivors of sexual abuse by the Catholic Archdiocese of Baltimore now have more time to file lawsuits. Maryland lawmakers recently ended the statute of limitations on child sexual abuse claims. Now, the move follows a report released last month that found more than 150 priests and others in the Catholic Archdiocese of Baltimore sexually abused hundreds of children over many decades. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump is working for a group of survivors right now and today announced plans to bring civil claims against the Archdiocese. Jeff Morgan with Scripps News Baltimore has the latest.
Survivors of sexual abuse have been fighting for more time to sue for nearly a decade in Maryland. This October, they'll get that chance.
For everybody who was abused, we're going to make sure they have a voice not only in the court of public opinion, but we're going to give them a voice in the court of law. Break the silence, Baltimore.
Attorney Ben Crump is representing a group of survivors suing abusers and the Catholic Church of Baltimore, according to a report from the Attorney General, which detailed nearly 8 decades of child sex abuse and cover-up by the Baltimore Archdiocese.
This is what 456 pages of abuse looks like right here. 456 pages.
There's an unknown number of victims, though Crump estimates hundreds still haven't come forward. Each of them mentioned the lasting effects of the abuse.
Like I said, it's caused so many problems in my life, and it still does to this day. There's so much anger in my life. So much hate.
Dozens of law firms are lining up to represent victims. Crump and Slater are the first to hold a public news conference about the lawsuits. Slater says winning these lawsuits isn't going to be easy. They also believe more victims will come forward.
You can only imagine how many people did not participate in the investigation and did not speak up. Victims no more.
Victims no more.
The lawyers say decisions about how the lawsuits are filed will be made on a case-by-case basis. All will be filed against the church, some against individual parishes, and even the priests themselves. Lawsuits can be filed October 1st.
That was Jeff Morgan reporting for us from Baltimore. So House Republicans say they have new findings about alleged financial misdeeds by President Biden's family. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee have been investigating the Biden family's finances. Committee members saying today that they recently obtained financial records connected to the president's son Hunter, as well as the president's brother James and other associates. The committee is alleging that they received millions of dollars in payments from foreign entities in China and Romania.
Be clear, this committee is investigating President Biden and his family's shady business deals that capitalize on Joe Biden's public office and risked our country's national security. The president, when confronted with this information, said it wasn't true. Instead of being honest with the American people, President Biden has claimed since the 2020 election that his family has not received money from China. That was a lie in 2020, and he continues to lie to the American people now. The Bidens have received millions of dollars from China. It is inconceivable that the president did not know it.
Now, this latest report doesn't show any direct payments made to Joe Biden, either when he was vice president or when he left office. And the White House is calling the new allegations yet another political stunt. In other news at this hour, former Fox News host Tucker Carlson is planning to resurrect his program on Twitter. But Twitter's owner, Elon Musk, is saying that's not the case. Musk says that he hasn't signed any deal with Carlson, and he wants Twitter to represent all political views and not just conservative ones. Carlson made the announcement on the social media platform, but Fox News might have something to say about it because Carlson is still under contract with Fox despite his dismissal. Carlson is saying that he chose Twitter for its stance on free speech.
Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
Carlson's announcement comes as Twitter is losing its popularity. Elon Musk's takeover last October led to a decline in revenue and engagement. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, some states taking action after mass shootings nationwide. But how effective are weapons bans? We're going to dig into the numbers for you. Also, Title 42 coming to an end. What's set to happen under the new Title 8 and how states have been preparing. That's next.
Year, Americans will spend $41 billion on auto repairs.
That's right, billions with a B. Why is that number so high? Because cars break down. Your vehicle is going to end up in a shop like this too, and if it's no longer under warranty, you're the one who has to pay the bill, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. That is, unless you call CarShield. With a plan through CarShield, administrators will pay for those costly repairs directly to the mechanic of your choice, including dealerships. That means you get protection on major parts and systems like the engine, transmission, electrical systems, and more. Plus, 24/7 emergency services for flat or damaged tires, lockouts, dead batteries, and towing at no additional cost. And there are even rental car options to keep you on the road.
I've been a mechanic for 35 plus years now. I've seen thousands of repairs over the years. My happiest customers are the ones that come in, do have some kind of auto protection policy that's going to cover the repair that they wasn't expecting anyway. I feel great about recommending CarShield to everybody I see.
CarShield has a rich history of dependability, reliability, and success, and has been featured on leading networks like ABC, CNN, Fox News, and more. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company.
My mom told me to call CarShield, and I saved $5,000. You should always listen to your mom.
As soon as my car broke down, CarShield jumped into action, and I had my car back within days.
I've been with CarShield for close to 7 years. I have 3 vehicles covered, and I saved close to $9,000.
I called CarShield and saved over $5,000.
Yes, CarShield is a good value. Every plan through CarShield comes with a price lock guarantee, which means no matter how many repairs you need, the price you pay today will never change for as long as you cover your car.
Call now and save money with your price lock guarantee. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, but when. Call CarShield now before it's too late. Call 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264.
How does Klein Inspector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein Inspector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein Inspector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein Inspector.
Sure, you'll teach her how to drive a car, then use Greenlight to power her independence with crash detection with 911 dispatch, family location sharing, and emergency SOS alerts. Invest in your best investment with Greenlight.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
Hey there, welcome back to Scripps News Live. Great to see you. I'm Veronica Cruz. It's now 1:30 the hour. Time now to get a check of the headlines, beginning in the Middle East, where tensions between Israelis and Palestinians continue to rise. There are more reports right now of continued fighting, despite an alleged ceasefire brokered by Egypt. Today, Palestinian militants fired hundreds of rockets from Gaza into Israel. A series of airstrikes carried out by Israel killed at least 21 Palestinians. In Missouri, lawmakers passing measures to ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors. That bill restricts access to puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery. It is now on Governor Mike Parson's desk. Another measure that would ban transgender girls and women from playing on female sports teams at any level of school also passed today.
On a happy note, I join my fellow senators in welcoming back our dear friend and esteemed colleague, Dianne Feinstein. It's so good to see her back here in the Senate, ready to get back to work.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer there announcing Senator Dianne Feinstein's return to the chamber. The California Democrat has been recovering from shingles now for more than 2 months. The 89-year-old facing calls from both sides of the aisle to retire, but she's not doing that. She confirmed earlier this year that she would not be seeking re-election, though, in 2024. So Title 42 is the pandemic health provision that allowed agents to deport migrants arriving at the southern border. And it comes to an end tomorrow at midnight. With an influx of migrants already arriving at the border now, the White House has been announcing new measures against illegal border crossings. And they include denying asylum to migrants who have not sought refugee status in a country that they traveled to or through. Let's get you more now on this developing story with Scripps News congressional correspondent Stephanie Liebergen, who's live in Washington right now. All right, Stephanie, we've been talking about this now for the past week. Tell us about this plan that the Biden administration has in place to handle the expected influx of migrants.
Hey, Veronica. Well, the White House has called it a robust multi-agency approach, really taking a number of steps to try to deal with the expected increase in people trying to cross the border. So that includes just increasing the number of humans who are working at the U.S.-Mexico border. This includes military troops being sent there to help assist, getting more contractors hired, and also increasing the number of asylum officers that are at the border ready to process people who are claiming a credible fear back in their home country. Another step is expanding the number of appointments that are available via the CBP One app. Now, this new asylum rule that the White House announced and finalized today does require asylum seekers to use that app to get an appointment time before they arrive at the U.S. border, and it does require them to cross into the country through a port of entry. Asylum seekers will be deemed ineligible if they don't have an appointment and if they cross in between ports of entry. Now, one of the big things the Biden administration is doing is trying to make sure that anyone trying to get into the United States is aware of all of their legal options for entering the country. So the White House is starting and opening 100 migrant processing centers all throughout the Western Hemisphere. So the exact services that all of these centers will offer will depend on what that region needs, but it will help connect migrants with potential refugee resettlement programs, either in the U.S., Canada, or in Spain. It will help connect them to potential humanitarian relief or family reunification services, really trying to make sure that they know all of their legal avenues to try to get into the United States long before they reach the U.S.-Mexico border, Veronica.
And I understand, Stephanie, that those migrants will be processed under Title 8 because Title 42 is going to expire tomorrow at midnight. What are the differences here? How does Title 8 differ from Title 42?
Well, the consequences are really the biggest difference between the two. The United States, before the pandemic, was able to expel migrants from the country, and it's something that they are going back to as soon as Title 42 expires at the end of the day tomorrow. Now, under Title 8, if a migrant is expelled using that law, they are banned from re-entering the country for 5 years. And if they violate that ban, they certainly can face criminal prosecution in the United States. Earlier today, when Secretary Mayorkas held his press conference talking about some of the changes the Department of Homeland Security and CBP agents are making, he really stressed the harsher consequences these migrants would face if they're expelled under Title 8. Take a listen.
People have to understand that under Title 8 of the United States Code, when one is removed, one faces at least a 5-year bar to reentry. And so we will give people an opportunity to avoid that tougher consequence by voluntarily returning. If they do not take that option and they do not claim fear, they will be removed immediately.
The White House is also taking out a digital ad campaign south of the border to try to make sure that migrants understand the border is not open. Title 48 will still be used in trying to combat the misinformation and disinformation that smugglers often use to try to get migrants money and try to convince them that they can get them safely across the border, Veronica.
And Stephanie, what has the reaction been like on the Hill? How are members of Congress feeling about the end of Title 42?
Well, from a lot of Republicans, we're hearing that they want Title 42 to continue. There was 15 Republican senators just today sent a letter to the president and Secretary Mayorkas saying the administration has failed to recognize the crisis at the border and really calling for the continuation and the resumption of the border wall construction that was stopped when President Biden took office. There's other Republicans who have suggested resuming the Remain in Mexico procedure that was used under the Trump administration. There's been legislation that would effectively extend Title 42, but it's unlikely any of these things are going to happen before the end of the day tomorrow. But it's not just Republicans who want Title 42 to stay in place. There's even some Democrats, including Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, who would prefer to keep Title 42 in place, saying that the United States just isn't ready to deal with this new influx of migrants.
We as a country are not prepared enough in terms of everything from police to consulars to doctors to judges that will adjudicate these people crossing the border. We've not done well enough as a country.
Now, there is wide agreement that the country is in dire need of comprehensive immigration reform. But unfortunately, Democrats and Republicans have very different ideas about what that reform should look like.
Yeah, that's right. Stephanie Liebergen reporting live from Capitol Hill. Stephanie, thank you so much. So migrants risk their lives in their journeys for better lives here in the U.S. As Craig Smith reports now from Tucson, Arizona, there are groups working to protect migrants, and they say their job has become even more difficult now over the past few weeks.
It's definitely picked up since it was where it was a couple of months ago.
David Sarando says in the past few months, more people have been using the water Humane Borders leaves at water barrels along the migrant routes. Humane Borders maps where bodies have been found. Some of that knowledge guides where they place the life-saving water. Sarando says they are seeing more activity in more remote areas. He's used to hearing people claim that providing the water actually encourages migrants to risk crossing the desert.
And we're not attracting people to the middle of Cabeza Prieta or Organ Pipe or Banwar because we have water there. People are there and we want to save them.
Humane Borders has to contend with vandals who shoot holes in the barrels or mark them to try to convince migrants the water's been poisoned. In Nogales, Sonora, Keno Border Initiative shelters migrants who have been waiting for their chance to enter the U.S. and ask for asylum. The shelter has room for 90 people. It's normally full, but the Keno Initiative provides other services for people beyond its 90 beds. In the process, they learn why people left their homes.
Family members who have been kidnapped, disappeared, or murdered, unfortunately. So some pretty extreme danger from organized crime. And we also receive people from Venezuela, for example, who are also facing violence, but that might look more like persecution from the government against people who have maybe gone out to protest or who have opposed the government's rule.
Zoe Martin says it's not clear exactly what will happen when Title 42 lifts. She says some people secured appointments with CBP through its phone app. Others may simply come to the border and see what happens next. In Tucson, I'm Craig Smith reporting.
Now, Republican senators critical of President Biden's handling of the situation at the border are heading to the border tomorrow night. The effort is being led by Texas Senator Ted Cruz, and Cruz and company will be holding a news conference around 6:45 Eastern to discuss their solutions ahead of this expected surge. So there have been more than 20 mass shootings this month alone in the United States. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been just over 208 mass shootings since the beginning of 2023. And with each new incident, the debate over gun laws is renewed. Some states are already taking action, including Texas, where a House committee passed a bill this week to raise the age requiring a potential buyer to be 21 years old before they can purchase an assault-style weapon. Other states like Washington have been enacting bans on certain guns. It is the 10th state to ban the sale and transfer of assault weapons. Some believe the ban will help curb gun violence. Others look at it as an infringement of their rights. Scripps News national correspondent Vanessa Machania is in Washington, digging deeper into numbers to see if these bans make a difference.
These are for law enforcement. I can still build for law enforcement, but I can't build for, the normal Joe public, unfortunately.
In his 12 years of being a custom gun maker, Chris Cantrell has never had a busier few weeks than he has recently.
It was unfortunate that I was that busy because people felt panicked and rushed, right, to get something before it's taken away, and they didn't think it could be taken away.
In the period between when Washington's new assault weapons ban was passed and when it went into effect, he could not keep the AR guns he makes on the shelves for long.
Is this gun law going to stop me from buying another AR? Yeah. I'm not going to break the law. That's not who I am. There's no reason that it's going to stop criminals because they're criminals.
As a gun maker, a civil liability law passed along with the assault weapons ban, meaning that if someone buys one of Cantrell's guns and commits a heinous crime, he might face some legal penalties. He says his family is worried about whether they should even continue the business.
Every person I've ever sold a gun to is a law-abiding citizen, and hopefully that continues, right? I don't know. I'm not a mental health expert. I don't know how things snap.
Got a frame, and now here it sits. At the Alliance for Gun Responsibility in Seattle, a different reaction to this new law. One of hope and relief for the organization who worked on this legislation.
Unfortunately, more and more people become survivors of gun violence every day. As gun violence continues to be a super pervasive issue in our society, I think more and more people are starting to recognize that change needs to happen.
For 10 years, the Alliance has been advocating for gun control in Washington state. The recent ban is a big victory for them, along with last year's high-capacity magazine ban, where those who oppose these measures believe this only helps criminals. Hazel Brown believes the opposite.
To think about policy only through the lens of those that will intentionally break that policy is pretty flawed. We know that so many Washingtonians who own firearms are smart, responsible firearm owners, but we just need to make sure that everyone is on the same page for how dangerous these weapons are.
This ban makes Washington the 10th state, which includes the District of Columbia, to put similar measures in place, but the data on the effectiveness of those earlier bans is unclear. The Rand Corporation looked at several studies on the effectiveness of assault weapons bans in January. What they found is that assault weapons bans have uncertain effects on mass shootings, and the evidence is inconclusive. It also found that high-capacity magazine bans may decrease mass shootings, but evidence there is limited.
It's got a lot to go before it can really have a trend.
During the 1994 ban, which ended in 2004, mass shootings were 70% less likely to occur than today. But Mark Bryant from the Gun Violence Archive says we can't really compare then and now because of the increase in guns available compared to that time. Bryant believes we need more time to see what kind of impact bans may or may not have, but we all need to continue to work on multifaceted solutions for this complex problem.
We have to look at what's the right response on all of this. And it can go, it's neither fringe. Neither fringe is going to be the solution. The solution is going to come out of the middle.
This is banned, which doesn't make any sense, but I could shoot this.
For those on polar opposite sides, however, finding common ground may take even more time than gathering and accessing more data.
No one wants to see people die. And we hear very frequently that, guns aren't the issue. I need to be really adamant in saying that, we know that guns are.
I understand the passion behind it. I totally do. If you're a hard left liberal and you hate my guts, I understand. Is it misguided? 100%.
And that was Scripps News national correspondent Vanessa Machania reporting there. So to come on Scripps News Live, would you pack up and move somewhere affordable? All based on just one social media post. Coming up next, we're going to introduce you to the woman who's using TikTok to shine a light on her new hometown. Also, we'd like to hear from you. You can call us on our Scripps News viewer hotline, toll free. The number is 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. It's right behind me there. You can always share your comments and story ideas with us anytime. We'll be right back.
Attention all Medicare recipients. Did you know you could be adding up to $164 back to your Social Security check every month? Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. Get a free Medicare benefits review and see if you qualify. Just call 800-396-0918. This program helps lower Medicare costs like premiums, deductibles, and coinsurance. You may also qualify for a Medicare Advantage plan with additional benefits at no cost to you. A licensed insurance agent is standing by to check your eligibility. Just call 800-396-0918. You could be adding up to $164 back to your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. You don't get these savings automatically. Call now. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are free. That's 800-396-0918. Attention all Medicare recipients. Did you know you could be adding up to $164 back to your Social Security check every month? Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. Get a free Medicare benefits review and see if you qualify. Just call 800-396-0918. This program helps lower Medicare costs like premiums, deductibles, and coinsurance. You may also qualify for a Medicare Advantage plan with additional benefits at no cost to you. A licensed insurance agent is standing by to check your eligibility. You could be adding up to $164 back to your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. You don't get these savings automatically. Call now. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are free. Just call 800-396-0918. That's 800-396-0918.
Attention firefighters, first responders, military base personnel, and airport workers. Listen closely to this important legal announcement. Have you been exposed to chemical-based firefighting foam? If so, you may be entitled to a substantial cash award without going to court. For decades, aqueous film forming foam, or AFFF, has been used to extinguish liquid fuel fires. A scientific study has now shown that the chemicals used to make AFFF are highly toxic to humans and can cause a significant risk of developing several types of cancer, including kidney, pancreatic, thyroid, prostate, bladder, testicular, liver, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you or a loved one are a firefighter, first responder, airport worker, or member of the military that has used firefighting foam and has been diagnosed with cancer, please call the Negligence Network to file your claim today. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call the Negligence Network to see if you're eligible for substantial compensation. Call 1-800-300-4858. That's 1-800-300-4858.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
This is The Upside,
where we shine a light on the brighter side of news.
With authority.
This is my purpose. Anybody can do it.
These are the stories of good people doing great things.
Weekday mornings at 5:30, 4:30 Central on Scripps News.
Well, inflation has been pushing rent across the country right through the roof, but there is a city out there capturing attention for its cheap homes. Scripps News national correspondent Kat Sandoval introduces us to a woman on a mission to get you to move to her affordable city.
Hi, my name is Angie, and I'm not a realtor, but I live in super affordable Peoria, Illinois, and I think you should live here too.
You've heard of influencers before, but there's nothing quite like this. Angie Ostasiewski is a TikTok influencer who single-handedly says she's recruited more than 300 transplants to her city of Peoria, Illinois. On TikTok, Angie's listings are postings about affordable homes to purchase.
I really like to share, so if something is beneficial for me, I want to share it with other people so they can benefit from it too.
Nestled in between Chicago and St. Louis, Peoria is a small city of about 100,000 people. Here's one of Peoria's appeals. On average, a U.S. home costs around $330,000. That's according to Zillow. In Peoria, it's a third of that cost, roughly around $100,000.
So we were really lucky to buy a house in 2017. And I never thought I'd become a homeowner.
At 26, Ostashevsky bought this home for $33,000. Her mortgage was $314 a month, which is cheaper than renting in some places in the country. Now she owns 3 homes and recruited her siblings to live in the city too. She identifies as queer, Filipina, and Polish, and she wants to break cycles of poverty, particularly for marginalized communities.
I do truly believe that when you bring in folks who have struggled with things in their life, give them resources and lower their financial burden, that they do want to give back to the community.
26-year-old Nick Hayes and his husband lives a few minutes away.
I know the attention wasn't on you for 2 whole minutes.
They're recent Peoria transplants from Portland, Oregon, and ended up living the van life for a while. And just last year, they bought this 113-year-old 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms for $85,000.
Something that I never thought was going to happen. Having a space that is my own and being able to do whatever I want with it is so empowering.
Hayes says when he was a baby, his family lived in a trailer. It was his first home, and now he's able to own property.
I'm able to have plans for the future versus, if you live in an apartment, you're not really going to be there forever, and there's this feeling of temporary all the time, but I'm going to die in this house,
Home ownership is often seen as a path to build intergenerational wealth, but there are racial gaps. According to the U.S. Census, in the first quarter of 2023, on average, 65% of Americans own homes. Only white Americans exceeded that average at 74.4%. APIs, Hispanic, Black, and LGBTQ plus Americans fell below that average. Peoria isn't perfect. It has crime and poverty. Yet both Ostashevsky and Hayes say they feel safe and accepted, and that they could even save money.
When you've been living paycheck to paycheck and all of a sudden you're not, it's like so many problems magically get solved in your life.
Ostashevsky has welcomed so many transplants and shown them around her favorite places in the city, from a unique vintage shop to an LGBTQ bookstore that has been in the city for 8 years. Ostashevsky says it's a safe place to live, especially as a person of color or part of the gay community.
I was really lonely for a lot of my 20s. And when I started to find community in Peoria, people who looked like me, had the same values as me, I just wanted other people to feel like they could belong somewhere too.
Kat Sandoval, Scripps News, Peoria, Illinois.
And straight ahead on Scripps News Live, a little something that you don't see every day. The close encounter from space for one New Jersey family. And we want to remind you right here to follow us at Scripps News on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We'll be right back.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
Wouldn't it be great if every meal was perfect? Not just big family cookouts or cozy dinners for two, but even those crazy busy everyday meals? With Omaha Steaks, you'll love every meal because we only deliver the best. The possibilities are endless, and perfection is always guaranteed. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV to order the perfect meal collection today for just $99.99 and get 8 burgers free.
Who needs pet insurance? Take Lucy. A leg sprain cost her mom $600 in vet bills. Butterbean's tiny sneezes turned into a $1,000 respiratory infection. Eddie ate a $4,000 sock. Pet insurance from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company can help with vet bills for these guys and for your pets too, no matter what their age or breed. This coverage pays for things like emergencies, hospital stays, surgeries, even wellness with no lifetime limit on benefits. You can see any vet you like and get up to 100% reimbursement. So now your pets can get all the care they need to live a happy, healthy life. Because when a cutie like this needs to go to the vet, you'll want to be prepared. Help protect the pets you love with coverage from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. Call or go online now for all the details.
Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
How does Klein Inspector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein Inspector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein Inspector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein Inspector.
This view from inside a Kansas State Troopers squad car, a dust storm rolling through the western part of the state there. It all happened as a strong line of storms pushed across Kansas. Another breezy day on tap right now with a slight chance of a thunderstorm. Pretty crazy, right? And get this, contact from outer space after an out-of-this-world object invaded a New Jersey home. The suspected meteorite smashed into the roof of the home on Monday afternoon, and it happened in Hopewell Township, which is just north of Trenton, New Jersey. Luckily, no one was injured, and that object didn't cause any serious damage. Hazmat officials inspected the home to make sure that no toxic chemicals were left behind. The family is now planning to meet with an astrophysicist who will further examine that object. And a big, big congratulations today to Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly just won Best in Show at the Westminster Dog Show. Buddy Holly is a petite Griffon Vendine, a dog used for rabbit hunting. And Buddy Holly beat out 6 other finalists. About 2,500 other dogs representing 210 breeds competed for that top honor. Big, big congrats. Well, the news continues right here on Scripps News. Coming up in the next hour, we get on board with the Ukrainian helicopter pilot and learn what makes his mission so dangerous. I'm Veronica de la Cruz. Thank you so much for watching Scripps News Live with me. Del Walters is up next.
Make your gift personal.